information to the owner.
Right.
And at that point, if it needed to be done, but the same thing as going to a hotel or anything like that. I mean, how would you require somebody wanting to come down and to register with the city or something like that?
Right. When you check into these sites, you have to create an account using your identification information, so your address, your name, your phone number. It's linked to a card that then would need to match. It then messages your phone or your email, and then you have to verify. Of course, this is just like with anything, and I know what some people may be thinking, it's just like anything. You could circumvent the rules in an Airbnb just like you could in a hotel, just like you could as a tenant. So to a certain degree, we're trusting the process as we would with any other forum. But there is required information that you have to put on the Airbnb that's verified. That's Airbnb specifically, so vacation rental by owner, Verbo, is the same way.
Is the $150 fee for a permit, is that right straight across the board in every county?
That's a pretty standard number, but it says not exceeding 150, so it's not saying the permit's 150, it's saying it can't be more than 150. So if the council has a different number in mind, I think that would be appropriate. Also, to your point, that's number 7. Number 8, a renewal application fee is left blank because we did discuss it being less than, but we did not discuss a number. So I was unsure what the council wanted that number to be.
So what's kind of typical on the renewal?
The renewal I saw, for instance, when we looked at the Carmel ordinance, I believe was half of what the original application fee is. But I think the idea is it expires after 1 year, so it's a checks and balances, so you don't necessarily want to maximize the fee every time, but you want to get eyes on the situation annually.
I could see the original registration being $150, but something like $50 annual to renew it would be.
And I think it would be appropriate for the city, for the council to set that number or discuss it.
Council thoughts, and really, I mean, if we do send this to the APC today, we've got 3 more readings
Right.
that we could fill that in. I don't think that's gonna be the part that the APC either recommends or doesn't recommend.
Right, they're primarily interested in definitions, I mean, not the fee amount. It's possible to leave that amount blank and revisit it based on what the Board of Zoning Appeals or the Area Planning Commission suggests as well, since they're more familiar with the fees. That's another option.
So where does that 150 go? Does that go to the city, the county, partial, or what goes with that?
I'm guessing you go completely to the APC.
That's my understanding. Since the city wouldn't be involved in the administering or processing.
Well, personally, I think that if rentals are in the city, that the money should go to the city instead of the county.
The only issue I see with that is the city's not reviewing the application, processing the application, or issuing the application, the permit. So,
The same with,
I mean, yeah, it's a
Building permits.
building permit, or
what
do
it
you
is,
pay for change of zoning?
I believe so, for application.
So things like that, I mean, the city may benefit from it, but the city's not the one that is processing it and reviewing it.
How long does it take to process a permit?
Well, they have to apply and then they have to go in front of the board and present it, and it has to be then granted, and then the Area Plan Commission issues the permit. So it can take a month, I mean, minimum.
Is there any further discussion regarding proposed ordinance 2018-3?
I would say submit it as it is.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion to submit ordinance 20-18-3. We're not voting on the ordinance, to submit it to APC for their approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to submit proposed ordinance 2018-3 to the Area Planning Commission for their recommendation. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move next to proposed ordinance 2018-4. This is an ordinance creating a community crossings fund. The purpose of this ordinance is just to make it easier on the clerk treasurer in the city of Delphi when we receive our community crossings funds, that we would have a dedicated fund to put those in. So this year, we should be receiving a check of just roughly $263,000 from community crossings. If we can put all the grant funds into a single fund, it'd make it easier for the year of end accounting, and would allow us, we would take a fourth from the funds that we've encumbered from the city of Delphi, which is our share, and then the 3/4 from the community crossings fund. This fund would be limited for use of the projects identified within the awarded community crossing grant application, and then the clerk treasurer could create sub-accounts of that if there was different, which actually we do have different purchase order numbers, one for the alley, one for Sam Milroy, one for Heritage, one for crack sealing, one for micro sealing, maybe one more. So the clerk treasurer would be able to create sub-accounts within that fund. Is there any discussion regarding proposed ordinance 2018-4?
I would move for approval of ordinance 2018-4.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Leanne, is this gonna help you?
Much easier than what the state did with the last one.
Okay.
Much easier.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. As this is a matter, I'm not sure when we're gonna get our community crossings grant check. I think we're in the process of the Indiana Department of Administration, I believe. But if we could get a fund on the books, probably be beneficial instead of waiting 3 months. So I would like to ask for a motion to suspend the rules of procedure to allow for passage on the same day as introduction.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to suspend the rules of procedure to allow for passage on the same day as introduction. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So this is the second reading of proposed ordinance 2018-4, read by title alone, an ordinance creating a community crossing fund. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then this is the third and final reading of proposed ordinance 2018-4, read by title alone, an ordinance creating a community crossing fund. Is there a motion to pass the proposed ordinance on third and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Move to resolution 2018-14. This is a resolution I've proposed for the purpose of allowing the executive branch to publish a notice as required by Indiana Code, which will allow the community or the Common Council to hold a public hearing on a request for additional appropriations for the position of the Community Development Director and grant assistant office supplies mileage, as well as $17,500 for code enforcer. I believe both would be extremely helpful to the city of Delphi in pursuing grants and doing some of the residential, commercial, industrial, some of the other things that don't fall within a single department. And then building codes, I know it's a discussion that we should have this year, but that we don't have anybody to enforce our ordinance at this time. Is there discussion regarding proposed resolution 2018-4?
I was waiting on Dick, I thought he started to say something.
Is there a motion regarding 2018-14?
What is it,
Dash 14, sorry.
14, I think it's 4. I move for approval of resolution 2018-14.
Is there a second? All right. Proposed resolution fails. Move next to proposed resolution 2018-15, read by title alone, a resolution declaring certain funds of the city of Delphi dormant. This is something Clerk Treasurer Aldrich and I had discussed every year that we've made a budget, I think, so far. That we have a lot of funds on the books that really haven't been used for years. And it's just that we wanted to start cleaning up this process. And Clerk Treasurer Aldrich went through the funds. They should be underlined in the document that was after the proposed resolution, that really haven't been used in years, in that we could declare dormant. So we just take them off the books. Any money remaining would be transferred to the general fund. So you can see within the resolution that there's 16 of those funds. Some of them have money in them, some do not. Cume Fire and Delphi Township Equipment, I believe that's from before we had a territory, so the funds were already moved out of those into 427 and 428.
Do we never use any animal control money anymore?
It's within your budget. This is evidently at some time you had a fund established for it.
I believe it's probably when the city of Delphi and Flora had combined animal control. We do have a line item.
Let's go back to that.
I think it's 2,500 within the general fund for animal control.
I move for adoption of resolution 2018-15.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have.
Yes, sir.
Say that's going to the general fund?
Correct.
Well, you actually, technically, you have a choice. The state says you can put it in general fund or you can put it in rainy day. But it was always a part of your basic general fund, so
Which would be better?
within your general fund. I mean, it makes no difference. We made a movement last year on rainy day. Rainy day's healthy. But
Okay.
it's the easiest on me to just put it back in general.
Okay. Is that the motion?
We have a motion and a second. President Pro Tem Pearson, Councilman Seward, do we have any further discussion?
But is the motion to put it back in the general fund? Is that what it covers?
That's what's within, the balances are to be transferred to the general fund, is within the resolution.
Is that your motion, Carolyn?
Yes.
That's my second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item I have is miscellaneous business, the first being the handicap parking spaces on Indiana Street. I apologize, I missed last month's meeting, so you may have to bring me up to speed here. I don't know if there's any further discussion on what we want to do with Indiana Street. Superintendent Lyons, I believe we repositioned the signs. Do you want to give an update on that?
Yes, I had to reposition the signs to the fact that I was unaware that the ordinance that I adopted actually spelled out where those went. So now the signs are representative of what the ordinance states.
Two spots,
Correct,
and two signs, right?
correct, and they're located closer to the alleys.
So that gives us two additional spaces over there instead of the whole half block. Okay, that's what we talked about.
Was there anything further on Indiana Street?
Not Indiana, but what about, the handicap parking on these things?
That's the next item of business.
Okay, all right.
And Superintendent Lyons can stay up here for that as well.
Before we get to that, you and I researched Indiana Street on the west side between the exit of the bank and Main, on the west side of that street.
Correct.
What did you find on that?
I could find nothing in the ordinance book that states that is what it is.
Okay.
There is no ordinance on the books that states that's no parking.
You know, for the people that don't know what that is, that from the exit of the bank on the west side of Indiana, from there all the way up to Main is marked yellow curb and a sign that says no parking.
Correct.
But what you're saying is you found no ordinance to establish that.
No, but the discussion between you and I was, could there be parking over there?
Mhm.
And technically, there could be parking over there, and upon further review, when we dug into it, that's not even on the books. So, the council would either have to do one of two things. You're either gonna have to amend something so that it addresses what's currently there,
Yes.
or you would remove the sign, because in the event that somebody parked there, the police department would have no way of actually enforcing something or writing a ticket for something that isn't on the books.
So it comes back to us, falls on us to evaluate that and do something with it.
That would be up to,
To an extent, if you wanted to make it no parking as the sign states, we would need to amend the ordinance.
Mhm.
If not, I would accept some sort of consensus amongst the council. I don't know what we can do to the curb. We kind of talked about that briefly, but didn't come in.
Right.
I'd have to paint it gray or do something if, I had one business owner over there call and was concerned about it, but, that's not for me to, that's whatever council's wishes are, but.
Concerned what, to have parking or not have parking?
This individual was concerned that it would create bottleneck issues with the bank, traffic coming in and out of the bank. I don't know why that was painted there before my time. I'll be here 17 years July, and it's been like that since I've been here.
Been there as long as I can ever remember.
We
Well, I don't
replaced
think
all
it'd
the
be a problem
signs
as
and,
long as from the entrance to the bank, you'd have yellow so far, you know.
Yeah, well,
Is that 20 foot?
and that's the thing, you could put, the maximum, or you could put the, so I would think that we'd want to think about that and go down and look at that and maybe address it next month or something.
you'll pull off the alley probably at least 10 feet, and then off the corner by the stop sign, probably
We
20 or
still
30
gain
feet. You'll have,
several, 2 or 3 places.
yeah,
Yeah.
you'll probably have 2 or 3 spots in there, would be my
I don't
guess.
see any problem with that.
Yeah.
I'm with Dick on that one. Anything we can add is,
Well, yeah, I agree. I think it's wasted. I don't know that it impedes traffic or anything. The building's right there.
Yeah.
See how we can do this. I guess that's enough for me, unless there's any objection from the council. If there's any counselor that thinks they'll introduce an ordinance to make that no parking. All right, at that point, Superintendent Lyons and I can talk and figure out how to.
Get it measured up and see what's in there.
I can help you paint that if you want me to.
Yeah, it won't take too much, just a matter of going down there, pulling the sign and finding the great paint.
Thanks.
Actually,
Oh,
we may as well stay up here. So the East Main Street, a handicap parking spot was requested in front of Team Rehab. After quite a bit of research on both our parts, what's required, I can't remember if it was the ADA or the INU TCD, but they're required for a handicap parking spot, a 5-foot clear path next to your handicap parking spot. So Superintendent Lyons went out and measured, there is 5 foot on both ends, so the parking spot to the right of it on your picture could be a handicap parking spot. We would have to put a sign in and figure out a way to get it into the bricks. We believe that the alley could act as a handicap ramp to meet all the ADA requirements. It would require passage of an ordinance by the City Council. City Attorney Martin has already been working on revising our ordinance to, I guess, show where the handicap parking spots are after Stellar. I'd still like to drive around and check it out and make sure we've got everything, but that's something that we could be talking about next month and could include this in that proposal next month. What are the thoughts of the council on that?
I think that's what we asked, and if you said it's legal, then I think we should go forward with it myself. Don't you?
Absolutely.
I mean, we don't have to do much additional,
Right.
basically is what you're saying.
No.
You have to mark it, I really put the sign on.
Yeah, it'd have to be marked and find a way to core a hole through the papers.
Right.
And,
Doesn't mean we're not really changing anything in the street,
No,
as far as
wouldn't
parking
change.
spaces or anything like that.
no, we'd simply add
That was our
them on the
concern, you know,
sign
whether we took
somehow.
up 2 to make 1, you know.
Can you not just use a base sign?
We have bases. We kept the old concrete ones, if you would call the ones that are around the courthouse square. It's not as attractive. I mean, the only downfall to coring them through the sidewalk is you gotta make sure we miss any utilities, pick a spot, and pray that there isn't anything below the pavers that would prevent us from driving a 3-foot sweep in the ground at that point. I mean, we can do a concrete. I think I personally would probably try coring it through the sidewalk and rolling the dice, I think. That way it looks like the rest of them look
Call 811.
Well, that's the other downfall. They'll come out and they'll be happy to mark up all of our
Yeah, you
papers.
know, well, mark it.
So, yeah, I would request that they call me and maybe we could
Right.
do something. They will paint
I got
everything.
my alley all marked up with yellow lines.
They did it in front of the flower shop last year too, and I don't know if those have faded away yet, but they like their paint, so. But regardless, it can be done.
I think we
That's
should
my
pursue
suggestion.
it and find out more about it.
Any other discussion amongst the council?
They know this isn't a dedicated handicap parking space for their business though, right?
I haven't talked to him.
Handicap for anybody that parks there.
That's.
For anybody, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, right, you
Yeah.
take the chance, not gonna guarantee it's gonna be there.
It's a
Right.
public spot, so if someone
No,
wants to go in
that's
the
small.
restaurant,
Right, exactly.
it's. It's open to public.
General
so-
public, yeah.
I just wanna make sure, I don't want
No, I
anybody
agree.
yelling at us for
Well, I
doing something
agree, and
wrong.
you know, it doesn't hurt to have two on that block, cause everybody, it's always full with everybody
Right.
going to restaurants and everything else. So, okay.
Any other discussion from the council? All right, City Attorney Martin.
Thank you.
Include that one now.
And it may be worth mentioning, when you say reflecting changes from Stellar, the ordinance has parallel spots that no longer exist, angled spots that no longer exist. So I figured while I'm in the same schedule, I might as well clean up the abutting ordinances and review it anyway, so that will be part of what you see.
We'll move next, still miscellaneous business. City Attorney Martin provided a memorandum regarding off-road vehicles. Do we have any further discussion on our off-road vehicles at this point?
I could add in something, without going through the memorandum that's pretty long and detailed, gives a lot of definition. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but when we, respectfully, when we're reviewing Mr. Norman's proposal and the state law around the situation, you cannot allow off-road vehicles and circumvent the state requirement to have a valid driver's license. So it's not possible that we create an ordinance that allows off-road vehicles, no matter the amount of stipulations, and get around the requirement for the driver's license. So that's
So it sort of
unlikely to
answers the
benefit,
question.
right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't think I'm ready to pursue this.
Okay. The rest of the council?
I agree.
All right.
Will someone let him know, or we just wait for him to?
I would be glad to draft a letter to them and explain this and possibly attach this so that they're aware of the requirements. It's not really an option, is the problem, so.
Good idea.
Move next, I just have some updates, so proposed resolution 2018-4, I don't have that drafted this time, I'm still waiting on 2 of the surveys to be returned. I have 3 of those back, which highlight the priorities of the city council, so I'm waiting on those and I'll get that drafted. I've got 3 of the 4 sidewalk assessments. Need to sit down on my computer with Excel and go through and then put all that data and then make a corresponding map. So I should have that, at least for 3/4 of the city done here soon. Council, we discussed tablets, I don't know, a few months ago. Chief Mullen, I know you looked into Chromebooks. What you have before?
Yes, looked at few different options for the council to use. I know that your main concern is being able to open and look at documents, being able to read them, not so much change them, but also be able to receive your email, which would be applied to the city accounts or whatever account you're using. And so I looked at the Chromebooks as a possibility, went to the school and talked to Scott Gear, who's their technical guy up there, and he said that they've been dealing with someone in Yeoman, and I talked to that individual. He gave me some prices for different manufacturers of these particular devices. And I have some prices that range anywhere from about $255 down to $209 I got from him from Acer, HP, and Lenovo. And then I went to my Dell representative we do a lot of business with, and he shot me a price for $191.61 for a Chromebook with minimal features. We're looking at a device that has about the screen size of a sheet of paper, so you're looking at about something you'd normally be looking at anyway. And it would have a keyboard with it and internet access. You would have, with a Chromebook, a basic operating system that would be similar to what you have on your phone. But it also has the capability of being, of having a memory that could be expanded with a USB stick, a memory stick, or even a hard drive. So, and if you, with the Chromebook, access the internet, you can access your documents from the cloud. And Chromebooks are especially cheaper because they operate from Google Chrome. And so those devices, a lot of times, are used by educational institutions for educational purposes, for the access of materials and dissemination of information through the schools and educational purposes. But for your purpose, for your application, you would simply be accessing those documents through your email, opening them through your Google Documents or your Chromebook documents, or however your email works, and then looking at the documents for the purposes of your meeting. If that's my understanding of your desire, which you want. Right. Okay. So now I came to the question of who's going to get them, so I figured for about 7 of the devices. So, and I'm not sure Leanne was interested in,
No.
didn't think so. So that comes to about $1,341 and $1,341.21, excuse me. So that's a pretty good figure. Probably not going to get a better price than that for these devices. There is a question of whether a license is necessary. I don't think so. The license is something that goes with a Chromebook management tool. Shaking your head like you know what goes on there.
I don't think you would have to purchase an additional, if
Because
it comes with your original.
it was something I think the school uses because they manage these devices in the school, so that's not something that we would need. But if that was something we needed, it'd be like $39 a user per year, but I don't think there's a concern about that. So we're looking at that base price, what I just shot you a second ago, about $191.61 per unit. So that's something, food for thought for you to consider how you want to proceed.
All right.
Got any questions?
Have any questions for Chief Mullen? Have discussion amongst the council?
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I have no problem.
The rest of the council feel about it?
How you doing, man?
Any thoughts? Is it something we want to pursue? Something I can continue to copy and deliver packets monthly?
I think it's probably a good idea.
But Chromebooks?
Comes with a
Prefer the
keyboard,
paper
right?
copy,
That's
but
right.
I realize I'm in the middle team, so I'll do whatever.
Councilman Shockley?
I think something we need to, it's coming anyway, so, you know, I have no problem with it.
Steve?
Yep.
Will this little gizmo allow them to print off?
Yeah, thank you. That's my understanding.
Yeah. So, let me say something. You would save me a lot of money this time.
Yeah.
Because I buy an awful lot of paper down in that office.
Wonder
And
why.
we cut down a lot of trees and we send it out. If that was on that, then if you could read it, if you felt it was important and you wanted a copy of it, you could make your copy of it.
Now, what, if we made the,
Already spent a lot.
if we made the move to that, to spend the $1,341.21, what fund would that come out of?
And come out of your computers, out of general?
And we've got enough in there for that, right?
Yes, you do. Well, I say yes, you do. Are you
Yeah.
spending anything else out of there? Yes, you do.
Like I say, last year budgeted 15,000, I think we spent close to 8, somewhere around there. Well, do we want a motion from the council to purchase, go ahead and say 5 for the council, then I can make the purchase of 2 for the Board of Public Works and stuff.
Could you explain exactly how that would work step by step, as far as the information you would put out to the board and to the council?
Oh, I'd have to figure it out. Right now, what I do is I take every document, I probably have 20-some individual documents for each city council meeting, print those out in order, make 6 copies of them. I scan 1 copy so that I can have it electronically, and then I put that on Facebook, which we need to update the website to have those on there. So I don't know how I would do it. I may just send all the documents individually and have them numbered 1 through whatever, so that it follows the order of the agenda. That's probably what I would do instead of combining all the documents into.
You would send those electronically before the meetings, and so we would
Correct,
be
I
able
would
to
do it.
open that up and look at that instead of.
Correct.
Right.
Instead of
The same
opening your
thing, it'd be-
envelope, you open your computer.
On the week before the council meeting, on Monday, I'd send them their first packet, then Friday, send them the second. Board of Public Works and Safety, on Friday, I'd send you your packet before your meeting on Monday.
We'll help you figure out how to get it turned on and everything.
Leanne's gonna help me.
It's not a microwave, it's a tablet.
I'll make a motion to purchase the tablets for the city council.
I'll second that.
For the 1,341.21.
Well,
Well,
for 5 at
2 of the board
191.61.
works, yeah.
Councilman Trigger
Wait, for how many?
for 5 here.
5
and
and then 2.
I'll add 2 on.
Okay, so 7 total.
So the total expenditure is 1,341.21.
Does that include tax, the 191?
Includes the sales tax.
We don't pay tax.
Oh, yeah. That's another question.
But is that about the amount?
That's for 7 of them is 1341.20.
So why aren't you just doing this?
Because there's only 5 city councilors, and then we will get 7, but the council shouldn't be buying stuff for other boards.
Comes out of the same fund.
I know it does, but.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second to purchase the Chromebooks for the city council. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda was water and sewer project. Councilman Seward, you requested that this remain on there?
Well, I've requested it be put on there, yeah. What progress have we made since the March 20th meeting? I know I listened to the Board of Works meeting, but what progress have we made? Because the public, not all the public was here for that.
So we got well 7 drilled down 400 foot. We're pumping it tomorrow, Wednesday, 24-hour pump test. Should be able to get quality and quantity results back from that. The Board of Public Works and Safety today awarded the well 3 to well 1 project, which is 400 foot of 12-inch main connecting the 2 so that in an emergency situation, we could pump well 3 over to the control building at well 1 and chlorinate at that point. Beyond that, I don't believe there's much further. There's some water stuff that's going on, but it's really not within the scope of the larger project. It's kind of some maintenance items that we encountered.
One of the questions, or one of the topics that was brought up by Mr. Bradshaw was having another meeting, and he suggested maybe one a couple months out. That's what you talked about, correct?
Yeah, I think we need to have one. Exactly the timing will probably depend on